April from April's Home, and today I thought that I would share with you some of my thoughts on minimalism, simplicity, and decluttering. At the beginning of January, I was watching Netflix and I saw a documentary come up as a recommended documentary, and it was a documentary on minimalism. It's on Netflix and it is called Minimalism, a Documentary. It's a very interesting documentary about a couple of fellows who live an extremely minimalist lifestyle. They hardly have any possessions, and they've really, super simplified their life and their living spaces and things like that. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about, especially in our society today where we have so much stuff surrounding us on such a regular basis. Since then, I've seen a lot of videos popping up about minimalism, as well as living a minimalist lifestyle, living simply, and decluttering, and the KonMari method of decluttering. The KonMari book has been around for a couple of years now, and it's been something that a lot of people have been doing. And this is something, that is not a new thing. This is something that I have read about in the past. Years ago, there were really popular books like Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui, shows on cable like Peter Welsh Clean House or Clean Sweep or whatever the show was called, where people were tackling their clutter. For me, this is a really interesting thought. I'm a person who really loves a lot of different things, and I spend a lot of time shopping. I'm a collector. I collect a lot of things, but at the same time too, I really love order. I love organization. I love simplicity and things like that. So it's always been something that I've struggled with. On one end, I get really excited about collectibles, but on the other end, I get really stressed out about too much stuff in my environment, too cluttered of an environment, things like that. I've gone through different points in my life where sometimes I've been very simplified, very decluttered. I don't shop a lot, and other times where I kind of get this collecting bug where I'll collect a ton of things and kind of overshop, really. One of my New Year's goals this year was to be more purposeful about the things that I bring in my home and the things that I bring in my life, and focusing more on joy and things like that. So naturally, when I've seen all these videos about minimalism, it's definitely got me thinking. So I thought I'd share my thoughts about what I actually think of minimalism. Could I live a minimalist lifestyle? And although I love a clean and organized environment, I don't think that complete minimalism is for me. I don't think it's my nature. I don't think it's something that would make me happy. It's not the way that I would want to live so sparsely. I love to be surrounded by my books. To me, they're warm. I love them. I enjoy being around them. They bring me joy. I feel they're beneficial. Some of my collections, not all of my collections, some of my collections bring me a great deal of joy. Hunting down objects, organizing those objects, it's something I like to do. I've often described myself as having the personality of like a librarian, someone or like a museum curator. I like to collect some objects for posterity, for reference, just because I think they're interesting and fun, and I don't want to completely give up that. That is definitely a part of who I am. That being said, though, that can definitely get out of control. I definitely understand that things don't bring happiness and that less is more, which is one of the things that they talk about in the minimalism documentary. And I also think that that lifestyle is a little bit unrealistic for families. They show such minimalist lifestyles. I've also seen people living in incredibly small homes and things like that. I don't actually think that's more simple. I actually think that that can be a little bit more difficult. So in the end, I think that a balanced approach to the whole thing is a better option for most people and a better option for families. Then that brings me to the next book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. That's a book written by Marie Kondo that explains how to go through and tidy up and declutter your home, with one of the main components being that you take everything out, look at everything that you've got in, say, a certain category like clothing or books, for example. Pick up each item, look at it, wonder if it, wonder to yourself, does this bring me joy? And if it doesn't, to let go of it. Well, now for a person like me, that just doesn't quite work. Because I'm an extremely expressive person, a lot of things bring me joy. A lot of random objects, a lot of silly objects that are perhaps useless, do bring me joy. I look at them and I get very joyful. So I can't quite use that. I would end up keeping too many things. They do bring me joy. I am good at organizing things into spaces. So I could potentially keep quite a few things using that method. So although I will say the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, has so many wonderful suggestions, is definitely inspiring for cleaning up. But again, for me, I would have to choose a more balanced approach, looking perhaps at, even though this item brings me joy, is it really useful in my home? Is this taking up space? Is this cluttering my environment? Things like that, that although the object brings me joy, I might still need to let go of it. Or in the case of shopping, maybe not buy it in the first place. One thing that I really did love that I read this is the Life-Changing Magic journal. It's a journal and it has a bunch of quotes in it from Marie Kondo. And one of the quotes that really struck me said this. It says, "Can you place your hand on your heart and swear that you are happy when surrounded by so much stuff that you don't even remember what's there?" And immediately my answer was no, I can't say that I'm happy surrounded by so much stuff that it starts to be that I spend too much of my time organizing, dusting, tidying, sorting all of my stuff, purchasing my stuff, deciding what I need to get rid of. I spend a lot of time with that. And so in 2017, something I want to do is really, really cut down on the amount of time I spend managing stuff in my home, buying stuff, things like that, because that does not bring me joy. It's not something that makes me happy, and it's something I need to improve. So for me, I'm going to try a more balanced approach with some of the thoughts and tools that I have gleaned from shows like the Minimalism documentary, some of the things that I've taken from The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, as well as some other books that I'll discuss in a second. And then mostly something I'm going to challenge myself to do is to do a massive declutter of my whole home. I have done this in the past, and it's something I have really felt so much better after doing. But this year, in addition to decluttering, I'm going to place some really strict limits on what I bring into the home. Since I absolutely love shopping, I'm out and about almost every single weekend, buying little objects. It's something I really love doing. And I don't want to stop that completely because it's something I really enjoy doing with my family. However, I've decided to set some pretty strict limits for myself, at least for the first couple of months of this year, and then I'll kind of reassess where that is, see if I need to make stricter rules for myself or continue on with what I'm doing. One of the things I've started doing when I go out and about shopping is I've been bringing cash, as well as setting an exact budget and writing down the things that I want to look for. So if I'm looking for a certain toy for one of my collections or book or something like that, I set a number of items that I'll be buying that day and an amount of money. So that way if I see something that I love better, I have to put something else back. Also in 2016, I bought an incredible amount of makeup. This is something I hadn't done for many years. I actually used to have a fairly simple amount of makeup. Then I got to watching YouTube and I got very excited about a lot of the new products that I hadn't seen before and that I thought were so beautiful and interesting. Again, I love colors, I love beautiful little objects and things, so I'm drawn to them, and it's really easy for me to acquire a lot of things without really realizing how many things I've acquired. So what I did was looked at everything, sort of took inventory of my makeup collection, and I will be sharing that in an upcoming video, my makeup collection, what I actually have currently that I'm using and enjoying. But I decided that I have way too many makeup products. So for the month of February, I'm doing a no-buy. I purchased one last palette, the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette, before February, and I'll be reviewing that, as well as a couple other palettes that I bought in January in an upcoming video that I really do love and I think are wonderful. But for February, I decided to do a no-buy of any makeup product because I don't need any more. I need to actually start enjoying and using the makeup that I already have. And then if my February no-buy goes successfully, I was almost thinking about giving myself one pass. I know there's a couple of other fun makeup items coming out in March, so I'm going to give myself one pass for one new item, and I may be able to extend my no-buy all the way through until Easter. Early March is when Lent starts. That's 40 days before Easter, where you give up something, and that's something that I will probably continue on through March. with the exception of a one pass for one fun item, which I think is a balanced way to approach spending. And if it goes well with my makeup no-buy, I was considering extending that into other categories as well. I will still have plenty of product reviews on my channel. I have a lot of things still to review. I've got quite a backed up supply of things that I would love to review and need to review. And I still go shopping, and I still have things that I'd like to share. A lot of the things I'd like to focus on this year are sharing some of my recipes, sharing some of my crafts, sharing things that I do, things like that, rather than just products. I also am going to be looking into ways to do other things besides shopping for fun and other things besides shopping to reduce my anxiety. I am in general an anxious person. I've struggled with anxiety disorder since my early 20s. For the most part, I have a pretty good handle on it. I've been practicing techniques and ways to manage my anxiety for nearly 20 years now, but a lot of times I will fall back into the pattern of shopping to reduce my anxiety, sort of like retail therapy, like they say, and I just don't think that's healthy, because in the end, overspending and clutter cause me more stress and anxiety than shopping reduces. So it doesn't really balance out. And so that's definitely something I'm going to be working on in 2017. And I hope to talk about that again in the future. So for me, although minimalism is not a lifestyle that I could be, I feel like it's a little too drastic for someone like me. And I am definitely inspired by the life-changing magic of tidying up, but need to kind of fit that to me a little bit. I need to be a little more strict at decluttering items, not just because they bring me joy, because a lot of things bring me joy. So that's going to be something I'm focused on. I've already started decluttering this past month. In January, I've started decluttering a bunch of my home decor items and things like that. And little by little, I plan to go through my home and declutter a lot of the different areas, hopefully every area. I hope to share some of my decluttering projects on my channel here. However, for some of the larger ones, like my home decor, I just take way too long to declutter. I get stuck in thinking about it a little bit. It really wears me out, and it's quite a process. It would be such a difficult thing to film that process as well as doing that process, so I'll probably choose some other smaller decluttering projects to share so that you can see my process rather than some of the larger ones. Because at this point, it's really important for me to just get things tidied up, get things simpler, so that I can really focus on correcting my spending habits, so that I can get things back on track and live a little more balanced. Ideally, for me, that's the key word here, balance. I don't want to live minimalist. I think it's too far one way, and I don't want to live too cluttered. I feel like that's too far the other way. But I think that there's a nice balance in the center, which is what I would like to go for, a more simple, balanced life. Some of the books that I've been reading, of course, Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, as well as like the journal and things like that. I've also started reading Love the Home You Have. This is something I started reading last year, and I need to go back through and read some more. This is an old book that I read years and years ago. It's called Affluenza and is about the all-consuming epidemic of overconsumption. So this kind of talks about how in general in our culture we tend to consume more than we need to consume. So this is one of those books that will get me thinking about the deeper root of consuming in the first place. And this is a book that I've shared with my Sunday school class in the past, and also I've just found very, very interesting. This is an older book also. This book is called Material World, A Global Family Portrait. And the fascinating thing about this book is it goes through all the different countries and cultures and has everybody take out all of their stuff. And you can see what a typical American family has in stuff, and then some of the typical things that other cultures have, like Mexico or Argentina, Guatemala, places in the Middle East, places in Asia and Europe and things like that. So it's really fascinating to kind of take a look at, now this book is a little dated, so actually for what an American person has, typically it would probably be larger than when this book was written. But it still makes the point of just how other people live and in comparison to how we live. And so it's another book that just gets you thinking about what one can live with, how other people live, and in the end, hopefully inspiring me to be a little bit more balanced, and I think this book can inspire other people to be a little bit more balanced too. Again, also, I just think that this is a fascinating book. I really enjoy learning about other cultures in the world, and this book is really fabulous for that as well, if you're interested in other cultures also. So, Material World, A Global Family Portrait by Peter Menzel. Wonderful book, absolutely beautiful pictures, really, really interesting. So those are my thoughts on minimalism, simplicity, and decluttering. I think it's enjoyable hearing other people's thoughts on things like this, so I thought it would be fun to share my thoughts as well. I hope you enjoyed hearing some of the things I think about that, as well as some of my goals. I would love, if you have any questions, to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I always love reading everyone's comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe for more videos from April's Home. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.